Oh yeah, I think generally that characterization is correct. If you follow the conversations that took place on the public platforms, on Twitter, on Facebook, and so forth, you get a sense that here is a man that had a contested legacy, which is almost a function of the polarized nature of our politics in Zimbabwe, along political and ethnic lines. But I would want to say that generally you could put him within certain frames, say about 5 key dimensions that you could box him in a sort of way, I think for historical purposes. One, he was a liberator. He was a person who was part of the generation that won independence from Britain in 1980. But as you pointed out there, the second element, key element, is that he was seen as a brutal enforcer of the Gukrawundi political and ethnic disturbances that took place in the 1980s in the Midlands and Matabeleland regions. But also, as we progress in the independence, you would realize that he was part of the securocratic ramp that kept ZANU-PF in power and kept the rule of Robert Mugabe going. Many would think that it was at this crucial point that a transfer to a democratic establishment was stopped. So, but after that, you would also see that in 2017, he was part of the military generals that saw off the legacy of Mugabe, and after that, he assumed a civilian life. So he was a man of many colors. As I pointed out above, that it's a contested legacy. That's why you see that there's a lot of polarized debate that's been going on today, and I think for many days to come.
And I guess one can see that from the reaction to his passing. As you correctly point out, part of that legacy will be him being an ex-Air Force commander who headed an army unit accused of that notorious massacre in the early 1980s, where the people of Matabeleland, for example, who have responded to his passing, have kind of not minced their words in what they had gone through, and the fact that there were no reparations after that.
Oh yeah, you get a sense that people were looking forward to this day. Quite unfortunate in our African culture, as that may sound, there were a lot of people celebrating his demise. And people were not in agreement as to what really his legacy should be couched in as. Because if you look at the issue of Matabeleland massacres themselves, it's a very contested, hotly contested, bitterly contested period in our history. The figures themselves about the extent of the massacres, the extent of the carnage, really ranging from as little as 3,500 to 20,000. Some people calling it a genocide. That was enabled at that time, even by the international community. So it's an emotive issue, and you will find that as part of that contested terrain and as part of that bitter past, Zimbabweans took the opportunity to disagree once again at this juncture.
I mean, just finally, he was also a very close relative, I understand, of the late former President Robert Mugabe, and subsequently also part of those who plotted his ousting in 2017. Talk to us about the politics of what had transpired there.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get you the first part. Would you kindly take it from the top again?
Yes, I was saying that he is also known as a very close relative of former President Robert Mugabe, the late, and subsequently in 2017, he's also understood to have been one of those who were there to oust the former president. Talk us through the politics of how all of that unfolded.
Oh yeah, I think it's a topsy-turvy kind of history that Zimbabwe had to grapple with. You realize that in 2017 things had come to a head within families in general and within the political spectrum. So people had to make sacrifices, and it was the turn of the generals to make the sacrifice and side with the people who were calling for the removal of Robert Gabriel Mugabe, but also there were some latent, military, political contestations that you see that generally the military had a lot of muscle in it. So I think despite their long history with Robert Mugabe and despite being part of the securocratic establishment or the securocratic ramp that I mentioned, he had to make a very hard choice to let go of Robert Mugabe and usher in a transition to the so-called new dispensation.
Tichaona Zindoga, we'll be watching very closely developments in your country. Thanks very much indeed for joining us here on The Full View. Zimbabwean journalist and founder of Review and Mail online newspaper, joining us live from Zimbabwe. Thanks indeed for your time.